Rev up your engines. Here's a 2009 BMW. BMWs are endless money pits. Well, don't ask me why, but this one isn't. But I can tell you why, because it's an M series, got the V8 engine, and it's got a 6-speed manual ZF transmission in it. These are fun performance cars. The guy bought this. He's put 6,000 or 7,000 miles on it in a year, and it now has 141,000 miles on it. And he hasn't had to put anything in it with the exception of the throttle actuators, which is a known problem, and he did it himself. He's a young kid, he likes the car, and he's taking care of it. Now the thing about these particular cars is this: much like American sports cars, Corvettes, you get the right guy who buys one of these, they take care of them. They're not just some rich guy, oh, when he doesn't change the oil. I remember back in the day, my father's gas station, Mr. Greer always bought Cadillacs. He was a millionaire. He runs Sabersaw Corporation in Buffalo. He never even changed the oil in his Cadillac. You know what he said? I trade them in every 2 years. I don't care what kind of shape they're in. He says, when the ashtray's full, and he did smoke cigars, I'll get another car. And he was so cheap in maintenance, we used to wash cars, hand wash, for $1.75, right? He'd hand us $2 and he'd want his quarterback. Again, with guys like him aren't going to be driving a standard transmission. They're lazy. They're not going to be driving a 6-speed manual transmission. This is a driver's car, and as you can see, it's made in Deutschland, where they make them correctly. You want a German car? Get one made in Germany. You want a Japanese car? Get one made in Japan. They can say whatever they want. The quality is better in their home countries. They care more. And especially with an M series, they know people are going to be driving these things seriously, and they have pretty good quality control. Now, this is a 3 Series, but as we look under the hood, it's the only 3 Series with a V8 engine. Phenomenal engine. Puts out 414 horsepower, non-turbo. This thing doesn't burn any oil. Still runs perfectly fine. This is a BMW, so of course, you see, there's still a lot of plastic crap, the tanks and stuff. Well, that you can deal with on these, because unlike the 6-cylinder engines and some of their 4-cylinder engines, the plastic on those leaks, breaks, is really hard to get to. This is a completely different design. This isn't like the 6-cylinder ones where the stupid oil gasket goes on the oil filter and you got to take half the car apart to replace it. It's a completely different engine. It's got a lot of horsepower, and yeah, it's a gas hog. This is a race car. You're not going to get great gas mileage unless you drive like a turtle. And why would you buy a car like this if you're going to drive like a turtle? Classic sports design. Big V8 engine, standard transmission, and rear-wheel drive. Now, I bought it used, and you know that it was a Kentucky and probably other parts of the South, so we can say there's no rust or anything on it. Now it's living in New York now. Still solid. Still have the original mufflers on it too. Now you can see the air intake actually does something. It's not for show, it's real. As we look inside, they put pretty thick leather. You can see it's getting cracked a little, but it's still in pretty good shape. Especially the back seat that probably no one ever uses. I'm in the back seat. How'd I get in there? Now as I sit in the seats, boy, the lumbar support is unbelievable. These are serious seats. Super comfortable. The reason people buy these things is the engine. Now maybe the original mufflers, but the owner just told me he gutted them, so they're not normally this loud. But you can make them loud if you want. We'll listen to the build quality. Solid door. Turn that off so you can hear me. And hey, look, the plastic interior is still good. And yeah, it's an older car, so it's got a CD player. It's a very comfortable car, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm getting out the fancy computer. I already warned them. It's a BMW, so it's probably gonna say some weird stuff. Let's see how weird it gets. We'll just turn the button on so the idiot lights are on. Plug in the port, and away we go. Diagnosis, auto detect. Oh, it's auto detecting. Check it out. Swing out cup holders. Ooh, the Germans have advanced. 2009 E92 M3 S65 US version. The control unit, these things have an awful lot of information in them. So it takes a little while for them to boot up on these older ones. Loading the communication, it's almost there. 100%. Now it's going to start doing stuff. Here we go. We'll start scanning everything. See, it's already got a couple. I told you. We'll see what they all are. While we're waiting, I mean, they're very comfortable vehicles. Got the obligatory sunroof. The main thing, though, this is a driver's car. It just happens to have back seats in it. And it's found 9 trouble codes, alrighty? We'll start out. The digital motor electronics, oxygen sensor, trim control, diagnosis bank 1 is absent, and catalytic converter upstream. Plausibility is absent. Well, I can tell you some of it is because he gutted the catalytic converters and the muffler. It's going to get some squirrely data from them, and that's going to confuse it. It runs fine for him. He doesn't care. I predict it'll probably be running a little bit on the rich side because of that. We'll see soon. Here's a great one. Electronic transmission management. Communication not possible with transmission control unit. But wait a second. It's a standard transmission. Hey, the computer's inside here. You're the one shifting it. I'm telling you, there's wacky stuff in these cars. Again, dynamic stability control. Communication not possible. Junction box electronics. Automatic air recirculation control sensor. So somewhere in here, there's a sensor to control the recirculation, and it doesn't think it's working right. Well, realize you get momentary glimpse. It'll trip codes. We're going to erase them all when we're done. We'll get rid of them all. But you're going to always get stuff like this in a BMW when it's old. Their electronics are too sensitive, and the Germans are too anal. Other one, communication not possible with park distance control. Footwell module, passenger side mirror heating is faulty. To find out when winter comes, see if it ices up. Maybe this side won't ice up, but the other side will. Okay, so for usual, we'll just erase all these things before we look at the actual data. 3 of them it couldn't erase. The communication not possible transmission control, stability control, and the park distance control. So those are hard codes. Somewhere there is a wire loose or a connector that's got corrosion on it, but I mean, I'm still flummoxed by transmission control unit since it's a standard transmission. He's not having any problems with it, but so we'll look at some live data. We'll start her up. So we started up, we'll look at live data. Spent 1,000 years looking at this stuff. We'll look at the obvious ones we want to check out. We'll look at the injection system, got the timing for all the ejectors, milliseconds. You really get some good information out of these things. We'll look at the oxygen sensor. Now it's doing pretty good. 1.00 is perfect. There, 0.999, so it's pretty close. You can see bank 2 is a little more off than bank 1, just a tiny bit. It's got active suspension. You can look at all that data. In the comfort mode, you can see it's the real mileage. That's 227,000 kilometers, which is 141,592 miles. So it's got the real mileage rating on it. And yes, I'm right, it is running just a little bit rich. You got the exhaust, you'll often get that. Voila! It does run a little rich. He didn't reprogram anything when he gutted out the muffler and cats and stuff, so, but it runs perfectly fine. So, let's take it for a spin. Now, it's got a nice sound with him gutting it out, and we're going on the bumpy roads. Not a bad ride, considering this is a baby race car, but he does have it on comfort. It's on the comfort. It's not on the sport one yet. It's getting near lunchtime. People are going to start coming to eat, and people are turning in here, so we got to wait. And here we go. Whoa! Whee! Now you can see why people buy these things. Now, that Polaris slingshot I shot the other day, it didn't throw me back in the seat nearly as fast as this. This is a giant V8 engine with a lot of horsepower in it. And they're not super heavy cars. With all that horsepower, hey, this thing is a joy to drive. Yeah, when it's sitting, smooth as silk, even with all these miles. And here we go again. Whee! And that's with the traction control turned on. So, they have an immense amount of power. It's lasted quite some time. He didn't have to put any money in it. He had to change those actuators. He did it himself. I mean, it's a driver's car. It's not like the poser BMWs that rich people drive with automatic transmissions and 4 doors. So there you have it, a non-money pit BMW. You can see it's still going strong. This particular one is really an oddball. It's the only 3 Series that ever had a V8 engine in it. So, these aren't that easy to find. It took him a while to find one, but he got it, and he's really happy with it. It is not a money pit machine if you take care of it. He's obviously driving it like a maniac, but that's what these things are made for. They are actually made to be driven that way. The Germans do make good technology for fast cars if it's still made in Deutschland like this one. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.